Hey guys, a very good day to you all. In this video, we are going to understand the first law of thermodynamics. Now before starting with this video, it will be better if you watch my previous video in which I have explained the different forms of energy and how the energy gets stored inside a system. It is a very short video and the link of that video is given in the description box below, or you can simply click on this I button present on the right top corner of your screen. Okay. So now, when we understand the first law, what we are going to do is that we will first understand how do we get the equation of first law. Once we understand the equation of first law, then understanding the statement of first law becomes easier. Okay. So guys, we know that the energy gets stored in three different forms, which means that if the system wants to store energy, then it can store energy in three different forms. Which are those three different forms? The kinetic energy, the potential energy, and the internal energy. So for example, let's say the system has 10 kilojoules of energy. Then out of those 10 kilojoules, 2 kilojoules will be stored in the forms of kinetic energy, 3 kilojoules will be stored in the form of potential energy, and the remaining 5 kilojoules of energy will be stored in the form of internal energy. So guys, if I want to find out the total energy of the system, then I have to add the kinetic energy plus the potential energy plus the internal energy. Why? Because inside a system, the energy gets stored in these three different forms. So if I want to find out the total energy of the system, then obviously I have to add all these three different forms. Okay. Now guys, this total energy is represented by E and this internal energy is represented by U. Okay. Now, if the energy of the system changes, let's say that the energy of the system has now changed, then guys, how can I find out the change in energy of the system? So for that, it is very simple. See, if the energy of the system has changed, then obviously the energy stored in these three different forms has also changed. Okay. If the energy of the system changes, then obviously the energy which is stored in these three different forms will also change. Okay. So can I say that the change in total energy will be equals to the change in kinetic energy plus the change in potential energy plus the change in internal energy. Okay. Or you can think in other way also. If the internal energy changes, if the potential energy changes, and if the kinetic energy changes, then obviously the total energy is also going to change. Okay, I have done nothing. I have just added a sign of delta in this equation, and this is the equation that we get. Let us name this to be equation number 1 and let us keep it aside for a while. Okay, now guys, let us consider we have a system and there is a surrounding around it. Now, if the system wants to exchange energy with the surroundings, which means that if the system wants to give energy to the surrounding, or if the system wants to take energy from the surrounding, then how it can do? It can do in two different forms, either in the form of a heat or either in the form of work. Okay, let's understand how. Suppose if there is a temperature difference, there is a temperature difference between a system and surrounding, then what will happen? If the temperature of the system is greater than the temperature of the surrounding, then the system will give heat to the surrounding. Can you see over here? The system will give heat to the surrounding. So guys, when the system is giving heat to the surrounding, it is obviously losing heat. Therefore, there is a minus sign. Okay. Now, if the system loses heat, then can I say that the system is losing energy? Why? Because heat is a form of energy. So if the system loses heat, the system is also going to lose energy. Okay. Now, if the temperature of the surrounding is greater than the temperature of the system, then what will happen? The heat will now flow from surrounding to the system. Okay. Now in this case, the system is receiving heat from the surrounding. Okay, so if the system receives heat from the surrounding, therefore we say positive Q. That is nothing but heat is absorbed by the system or heat is added to the system. Now, if the heat is added to the system, then can I say that the energy is added to the system? Why? Because heat is a form of energy. So if you add heat, then obviously energy also gets added. Okay, now there is one more form, that is work. Okay, if the system does work on the surrounding, if the system does work on the surrounding, we say it is minus W. So here, when the system does work on the surrounding, the system loses energy. Why? Because when it is doing work, it is giving away some energy, and we all know that work is a form of energy. So when work is done by the system on the surrounding, it is losing energy to the surrounding. Whereas if the surrounding does work on the system, we say it is positive W. And if the work is done by the surrounding on the system, then the heat, my bad guys, if the work is done by the surrounding on the system, then we say that the energy is added to the system. Why? Because work is nothing but a form of energy. So I hope that you have understood these two things, that if the system wants to exchange energy with the surrounding, then it can do either in the form of a heat or either in the form of a work. Now, keeping this thing in mind, let us take an example. So let's say that the energy of the system is 10 kilojoules. Okay, now if the system wants to gain energy from the surrounding in the form of heat, okay, if the system wants to gain energy in the form of heat from the surrounding, then let's say that the heat is added to the system. Okay, from the surrounding, the heat is added to the system. Okay, and let's say that the heat added is 2 kilojoules. Now if we add heat, then obviously we are going to add energy, because heat is a form of energy. So if you are adding heat, then can I say that the energy of the system will now increase, and now the energy of the system will change from 10 kilojoules to 12 kilojoules. So here if you observe that the change in energy is nothing but the heat absorbed. Okay, so you are absorbing 2 kilojoules of heat, and your energy is also changing by 2 kilojoules. Initially it was 10 kilojoules and now it has become 12 kilojoules. So 12 minus 10 obviously gives you 2 kilojoules. So whatever is the heat absorbed, it will be equals to the change in energy of the system. Okay, so I hope this statement is clear for you. And now can I say that the change in energy, it is represented by delta E, which will be obviously equals to Q. Okay, now let us consider one more example. Okay, now along with this heat, let's say guys that the surrounding does 3 kilojoules of work on the system. Now if the surrounding does 3 kilojoules of work on the system, then can I say if the work is done on the system, then the energy is added to the system. So if 3 kilojoules of work is done, then can I say that now the energy of the system was 12 kilojoules, but now it will becomes 15 kilojoules. So 12 plus these 3, that is the work done, which is nothing but equals to 15 kilojoules. So now in this case, guys, can I say that the change in energy will be equal to the heat absorbed. See, this 2 kilojoules of heat absorbed plus the work done. Okay, so what was the change in energy? It is nothing but initially it was 10 and now it has become 15. So 15 minus 10 is 5, and if you add this heat absorbed, it is nothing but 2 kilojoules plus the work 3. So 2 plus 3 will also give you 5. So I hope this statement is the important statement, and I hope this is clear for you. If you have not understood this statement, then please rewind the video and watch it again. This is a very important statement. Okay, so guys, can I say that the change in energy is nothing but equals to Q that is the heat absorbed, plus the work W. Okay, and in this case the work is done on the system. Okay, and now let's name this to be equation number 2. So up to now we have got two equations. Okay, which are those two equations? Delta is equals to delta of kinetic energy plus delta potential energy plus delta of internal energy, and the second equation tells us that delta E is equals to Q plus W. Now if you observe the two equations, you will observe one thing, that the left hand side of both the equation is same. So if the left hand sides are same, then obviously the right hand sides will also be same. So after equating these two equations, can I say that, guys, see, change in kinetic energy of the system plus change in potential energy of the system plus change in internal energy of the system will be equals to Q plus W, and this is the statement of first law. Okay, now you might be wondering that in your book, in your 11th and 12th standard book, the statement is different. Okay, now I will tell you how do we get to that statement, but keep one thing in mind, this is the actual statement of first law. Okay, now usually what happens is that the system that we consider is stationary, which means that the system is not moving. So if the system is stationary, if the system is not moving, then obviously the change in kinetic energy will be equals to 0. Okay, because we know the kinetic energy is nothing but half mv square. So v represents velocity. So here the system is stationary, which means that the velocity is 0. Therefore the change in kinetic energy will be 0. And it is not at an elevation, which means that the system that we are considering, we usually don't consider at a very high height. Okay, now if there is no elevation or if there is no height, then obviously the change in potential energy is obviously going to be equals to 0. Okay, we do not consider a system which is undergoing from a very high elevation to a low elevation. Okay, therefore we assume that the potential energy, change in potential energy, is also equals to 0. Now from this, guys, the kinetic energy has become 0, the change in potential energy has also become 0. So these two terms have now become 0. So therefore can I say that the delta U is now equals to Q plus W, and this equation is given in your book. Okay, now I want to make things much more clear in this equation. See, this Q is positive when heat is added to the system, and it is negative when heat is given away from the system. Okay, and this W is positive when work is done on the system, and this W becomes negative when work is done by the system on the surrounding. So here, instead of writing Q and W, it is much more clear to write as Q net. Why Q net? Because Q, the heat is going to depend on the situations. It can be positive or it can be negative, and work also depends on the situation. It can be either positive or it can be negative. So this is the final statement of the first law that we have now got. Okay, I hope the equation of the first law is clear for you guys. Now let us apply this first law equation to different processes. Okay, first of all, let us consider a isothermal process. So in an isothermal process, we all know that the temperature remains constant. Okay, now if the temperature remains constant, if there is no change in the temperature, then obviously, guys, the change in internal energy will also be equals to 0. Why? Because internal energy is the energy of the small molecular particles. I have already explained this, okay, in the previous video. Okay, microscopic particles. If you do not change the temperature, then why will the temperature of the small molecular particles change? Obviously they are also not going to change. Therefore the change in internal energy is going to equals to 0. So let us substitute this value of change in internal energy as 0 in this equation. Then we will obviously get that minus Q net will be equals to W net. Why? How do we get this? Because I have substituted 0 over here and I have shifted this Q net to the left hand side. So when it comes to the left hand side, this is the equation that we get. So in the case of an isothermal process, you will always use this equation for solving numericals. Okay, now let us move on to another case. Let us consider the adiabatic process now. So in the adiabatic process, what happens? The system cannot exchange heat with the surroundings. Am I right? The system cannot exchange with the heat with the surroundings. It cannot give heat to the surrounding, or the system cannot take heat from the surrounding. So obviously Q net in this case will be equal to 0. So just substitute Q net as equal to 0, and what you will get, delta U is equal to W net. So in the adiabatic process, you will always use this equation. Okay, now let us move on to another process. So in an isochoric process, what happens? The change in volume is equal to 0. The volume of the system is not going to change in an isochoric process, as we all know. Now, if the change in volume is 0, then this change in volume is going to affect the W net. Why? Because work is nothing but minus P external into delta V. If the delta V is 0, then the work will also be equal to 0. Okay, so for an isochoric process, the first law equation becomes the delta U, that is nothing but change in internal energy, will be equals to Q net. Okay, now moving on to the last process, that is the isobaric process. So in an isobaric process, the pressure remains constant. There is no change in the pressure. So but that does not affect much. Okay, if your pressure remains constant, it is not going to affect the Q net, and it is also not going to affect the W net. So your statement is going to remain as it is. So for an isobaric process, you are going to use this statement only. Okay, now after understanding the equation very well, let us move on to understanding the theory or the statement of the first law. The first law statement tells us that the total energy of the system and surrounding always remains constant. How is this possible? Let us understand with the help of an example. Okay, I have just simplified it more for you all, that if you add the energy of the system plus the energy of the surrounding, this value that you will get will always be the same one. It is always going to remain constant. Let us understand how. Let us consider a system and a surroundings. Let's say that the energy of the system is 7 kilojoules and the energy of the surrounding is 3 kilojoules. Okay, now can I say that initially, if you add the energy of the system and if you add the energy of the surrounding, it is nothing but 10 kilojoules. 7 kilojoules plus 3 kilojoules, which is nothing but equals to 10 kilojoules. Now let's say that the system gives away 4 kilojoules of energy to the surrounding. So if the system gives away 4 kilojoules of energy to the surrounding, then guys, now the energy of the system will become 7 minus 4, that is 3 kilojoules, and the energy of the surrounding will become 7 kilojoules. Why? Because it has gained extra 4 kilojoules from the system. Now if you add the energy of the system and if you add the energy of the surrounding, it is nothing but again 3 plus 7, which will always give you 10 kilojoules. So initially it was 10 kilojoules and afterwards also it is 10 kilojoules. So can I conclude from here that the energy of the universe, what is universe? Universe is nothing but system plus surrounding. So energy of this complete universe remains constant. Energy cannot be created and energy cannot be destroyed. It is always going to remain constant. This statement you have been hearing since your childhood. This is the meaning of the statement. Okay, so guys, if you have liked this video, then please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and go check out my channel where I uploaded physics and chemistry videos. They might be helpful for you. Guys, thank you for watching this video.